In this video, we're going to talk about human lifespan and immortality. But before we do so, I'd like to give a big shout out to the beautiful sun. Thank you, sun, for giving us warmth, for giving us love, for reminding us of our true nature, for reminding us of the inner sun. Thank you. The sun is a living being, it's alive, it's a very evolved soul, and the more you pay your respects and gratitude to the sun, the more you receive its warmth and love and beauty. So, let's talk about human lifespan. So, at the present moment, the average lifespan of a human being is anywhere from 50 to 80 years old, depending on where you are in the world. If you are living in Europe or North America, the lifespan is closer to 80, and it's not uncommon to see people that are 85, 90, even 95. You know, it's uncommon to see someone that's 100 or older. So let's say, for the sake of simplicity, let's say that the average lifespan, or let's say for the sake of simplicity, that human beings at the present moment do not live past age 100. All right, for the sake of simplicity here. Now, when somebody makes it to 90 years old, everyone's like, wow, good job. You know, you've done a good job. You've lived a long life. Because human beings are under the belief system, the false belief system, that human beings expire, die, before they get to 100 years old. And if somebody makes it to 100, you know, it's like a big deal, right? You've made it to 100. A centurion is what they're called. And in truth, that is the baby stage for a human being. The average lifespan of a truly healthy, awakened, conscious human being is anywhere from a few hundred years old and up to a few thousand years old, and possibly even beyond that, possibly even immortal. So what's going on here, Saeed? And why is everybody dying before age 100? Why is everybody under this false belief system that human beings are lucky if they make it past 100 years old? And more importantly, why is it that all human beings are dying in pain, old age, pain, struggle, suffering? What's going on here, Saeed? Well, so I really don't know where to start this. There's a lot of things I'd like to cover. But I'll start off by making a statement saying that the average the first 100 years of a human being's life is the baby stage. Okay, this is the baby stage of a human being. So what happened is, in simple terms, the matrix got hijacked by these fourth density beings, negative beings who are malevolent, who are evil, and they feed off the pain and the suffering of human beings. So by keeping you in the baby stage, by making sure that you die on time, you know, which is, you know, less than 100 years old, and by making sure you die in pain, in suffering, in struggle, they keep you stuck in the loop, in the wheel, the karmic wheel, you see, and they keep feeding off your energy. Because if you're dying in the baby stage of being a human, which is the first 100 years, your spiritual lessons that you were supposed to learn haven't really been learned. You see, it's like if you're a baby, right, a current baby, you learn how to walk in the first year, right? So it's the same thing. In the first 100 years, you're just learning how to walk in a spiritual sense. You're just learning how to walk in this on this earth. And this earth is a school, okay? So you're learning how to walk. And these beings want to make sure that you're dying on time. You're dying in the baby stage so that they can keep you stuck because you're not learning your spiritual lessons. And then you die on time, and then, you know, you haven't learned your lessons, and your karma propels you again to go back into the earth so you can try and learn it again. But again, you're just learning how to walk. You're learning how to walk. So there's a great book called The Law of One. This is a channeled material, and it has a great deal of truth, a great deal of accuracy. And basically, Ra is the sixth density being, this very wise. Think of it like an angel. Okay, I'm not going to go on and explain what a social memory complex is right now. I have videos on that. But think of it like an angel. Okay, think of it like this is an angelic, a very high vibrational angelic being. And Ra says, so in the book, in the Law of One, Ra says that human beings in the past lived up to 900 years. I think he said that would be the average lifespan of a human being. And if humans are dying within the first 100 years, they're still in the baby stage, spiritually speaking, because we're all here to learn lessons. Human beings come here to learn lessons. And in fact, if human beings were to fulfill their lifespan, their average lifespan, which let's say now is 900 years, you would only need to come in here 6, 7, 8, 9 incarnations, and you've learned all your lessons. But if you're still always dying in the baby stage, you're not learning anything, and you're stuck in the cycle, and you're being food. Your pain and your suffering is giving food to these negative entities, to those negative fourth density beings, you see? So the average lifespan is much, much more than what it is now. Let's agree that it's at least in the hundreds here, okay? I'm talking at least. If you want to take it even further, the human body is immortal. If you align it in a certain way and you treat it in a certain way, it's immortal. You're a conscious being, and if you're fully conscious and you have all your powers activated, you choose, just like the yogis in India, okay? Just like the yogis in India who get to these higher states of consciousness, you choose when to drop your body. Your body can go on forever. It can go on forever. You make the choice. I'm consciously dropping my body. That's what the Hindus say. That's what the yogis say. They don't say I'm dying. They say I drop my body. When somebody drops their body, they don't say so-and-so died. They say so-and-so dropped his body. So-and-so dropped her body. This is how we're supposed to leave this plane. This is how we're supposed to navigate through the different planes of existence. Okay? But as far as these fourth density negative beings are concerned, all human beings are dying on time. So, what's going on here? How has the Matrix been hijacked to ensure that all human beings are dying on time? Well, first thing first. And I would say this is, in many ways, the primary reason for humans dying early, and that is food. That is food. That is eating. If you look at all the top diseases in, let's say, the United States of America, which is a good representation of the rest of the world, you'll see at the top, if I'm not mistaken, heart disease. Heart disease. What causes heart disease? What causes heart issues? It's the food you eat, and it's stress. So it's the food, but it's not just the food, it's stress also. And most human beings are living very high stress lives. So their life is shortened and they're dying on time. So the Matrix is designed so that people do shit that they don't like all day long, and they're stressed and they're living lives that are miserable, that are not in alignment with their highest potential, with their highest good. So they're stressed, and that stress is stored in the form of acids. It creates acids. Acids are corrosive, they're destructive. So they're stored in the body and the food you eat. The food you eat. So first of all, human beings in their original perfected state did not eat, did not consume anything physical, because they did not need to, because they were connected to the cosmos, to nature. See, why do you think we live in cities? We live in cities because cities separate you from the natural world. Chemtrails are being used to block the sun. The sun can sustain you indefinitely. You see, the knowledge about Shivambu, the water of Shiva, the water of life, the urine, is completely suppressed, because the urine contains all the minerals and everything that you need to be fully sustained. And you could live off of the sun and your own urine indefinitely. And to take it even a step further, you don't even, urine is more like a medicinal thing. Once you're fully healed, your desire to drink is largely diminished. So human beings are designed, they're designed to be fulfilled by the subtler energies all around, the sunshine, the earth. When your feet are touching the earth, what is happening is there's an exchange of ions. Positive ions are things that are toxic to your body. The earth passes you negative ions and takes away the positive ions, balances your energy system. You see? Because the whole thing is about electromagnetic balance. So people live in cities deliberately. The design of a city is deliberately so that you are completely cut off from the cosmos. You're cut off from sunshine. If you live in like a place with high-rise buildings, the sun is blocked. You only see it when it's there, fully there. But due to the pollution, all the smoke hides the sun. So you're disconnected from the sun. You're wearing shoes that disconnect you from the earth, which balances your energy field, your electromagnetic balance. And the air you breathe is very polluted. Also, here's an interesting one. How many breaths per minute you take is directly associated with how long you live. So take an animal like a turtle, for instance. Turtles breathe around 3-4 breaths per minute, and they live up to 150 years. So it's been noticed that if an organism, any organism really, if an organism is taking less breaths per minute, which is more relaxed state, more parasympathetic state, that organism will live longer. So by living in a very stressful environment, by being constantly stressed, your breathing is shallow, you're taking in more breaths per minute, and you're dying on time also. You see, heart disease, stress, and food. Really, those are your two basic things. Stress, negative stress, not positive stress, because taking a cold shower is a form of positive stress. Negative stress, destructive, corrosive stress. And food, and when I say food, I'm talking about all foods, even fruits, even for the fruitarians out there. If you're eating fruits, obviously that's a much healthier form of fossil fuels, let's say, because you're still using fossil fuels. But the process of eating, digesting, taking a big piece of something, and having to break it down and assimilate it and take it out of the body, that's a very, very energy intensive process. So that brings you closer, that essentially expires your body much earlier than it otherwise would. Okay, if you're not into immortality, then at least open your eyes to the, not even the possibility, but the truth, and you will see nowadays with the great awakening that's happening, you're going to see many people living for hundreds of years. Okay, you'll see. So at least open your eyes to the possibility that humans are designed to live for at least a few hundred years. At least 300, 400 minimum, guys. Minimum, okay? Minimum. I'm talking minimum here. If you don't want to entertain the possibility of immortality, fine. But at least, open your eyes to the truth that human beings are at least capable, even now, modern human beings are capable of living for at least a few thousand years, for a few hundred years, okay? And this is why you hear stories about prophets in the Bible, about yogis in India having lived for 900 years, 1,000 years, thousands of years. Look into Babaji, the beloved Babaji in India, right? Allegedly, Babaji has been around since the Roman times. So we're talking 2,000 plus years. And there are many accounts of that. You could also look into, I believe it's Vivekananda. I think Vivekananda talks about it in his book. Either Vivekananda or, I think it's Vivekananda. He talks about Babaji. And I believe Vivekananda himself had an encounter with Babaji. So you hear about these prophets, you hear about these characters, these beings that have been around for hundreds of years. You hear about it in the Bible, all over the Bible. I think Noah supposedly lived for 900 years or so. At least that's the Muslim version of it, that Noah lived for 900 years. So it's not uncommon. And What's the thing that seems to be constant with these beings that live for hundreds and thousands of years? They're connected to the spiritual realm. They're being sustained by their light body, by the lighter forms of energy. And when you're sustained by the lighter forms of energy, it's absurd to eat to begin with. So you're not eating, you're being sustained by the light, by the subtler forms of energy, and therefore you're living for a longer period than your average human being right now, which again, the entire matrix is designed so that the human being dies on time in the baby stage of their spiritual development on planet Earth. And if you're always dying in the baby stage, you're stuck in this perpetual cycle of death and rebirth, in this cycle, in this karmic cycle, and you're suffering and you're in pain, and you're giving all that energy to these fourth density negative beings that have hijacked the matrix. Look at the development stage of a human baby. Humans have the longest, human babies have the longest development stage of any animal, at least as far as I know, land mammals, animals, let's say mammals, right? They have the longest development stage. If you look at lions and cats and dogs, it's a short period. The baby goes into adult very quickly, whereas humans take time. And that's, for me, also an indication that human beings are designed to live long, at least a few hundred years. And that's why the development stage for a human baby takes a long time compared to other animals, to other mammals and other animals. So for me, that's another indication also. Now, another thing, and I'll finish off with this one point. Human beings are a more intelligent life form than virtually all other animals on planet Earth, save maybe the dolphins. I think of dolphins as like the humans of the ocean. So humans are the caretakers of things on land. Dolphins would be the caretakers of things in the ocean. Okay, so with the exception of dolphins, I would say that human beings are by far the most intelligent life form on the planet. This is why animals follow what humans do. This is why humans can train animals, all animals, any animal. You can take a wild cat, a wild lion, a wild tiger, and you can train them to do certain things, and you can tame them, and you can sort of manipulate their behavior, because human beings are more of an intelligent life form than the rest of the animal kingdom. So if we're going to follow the model of the 7 densities, which is Ra's model, the law of one, you have plants and animals are 2D beings. So this is the 7 densities, like 7 chakras, and you're evolving from one chakra to the next. So if you take all animals, they're evolving. So animals are 2D beings evolving into 3D, whereas human beings are 3D beings, 3rd density beings, who are self-aware. This is what animals don't have. Animals, you see, like dogs and cats, they're in the higher stage 2D. They're developing self-awareness, whereas a human being is already self-aware. And that self-awareness, that rational mind, gives human higher intelligence. So an animal is very much living an instinctual life, right? Whatever the program is in the DNA, and their current program, the program of the matrix, is eat, life eats life, and mate. So what do animals do? They eat one another, or they eat other things like plants, and they mate whenever it's the instinct, the program kicks in for mating. And they can't rise above that. That's the animal life. Human being is different. We have self-awareness, we have more intelligence, so we can rise above these programs. You can begin to practice semen retention, for instance. Animals don't do that. Animals are just follow the program. Oh, well, I gotta procreate, that's my program. Human beings can tap into these higher states, these immediate states, breatharian states, where they're sustained off subtler energies. They can rise. Human beings, I think it was Vivekananda that said the purpose of human existence is to rise above the laws of nature. The laws of nature are the programs of nature, and they've been hijacked. Okay, but human beings, due to their intelligence, due to them being in a higher stage of the evolution, they can rise above it. They can rise above these programs, and this is why human beings can transcend their need for food. They can do certain breathing exercises that can melt away the stress completely, because they're a higher form of life, a more intelligent form of life, a more evolved form of life. So for me, all these things, all these indications to, bring it back all together, it's rather extremely obvious to me that human life is much more, the lifespan of a human being is much more than what it is now. Okay, it's at least a few hundred years. Okay, at least a few hundred years. That's just a minimum, guys. Okay, that's minimum. And we can talk about immortality right now, but I'm not even gonna bring it up. Okay, but I'm gonna say at least a few hundred years. Okay, maybe as the planet heals again and the ascension happens, and the ether of the planet Earth clears up, the quality of the air is better, there is more peace on Earth, then we can start to talk about immortality. But for the time being, even for the human being that is born now, you should be living minimum like 300 years, like minimum, guys. Okay, minimum. All right, minimum. So thank you to the Patreons. Thank you for all people who support the one-time donations that I'm always receiving from you guys via PayPal. All the love to every single one of you guys. And until next time, may the force be with you.